My fellow Europeans, today is a very important day here in America. It's November 6th and it's the general election. Today is when registered voters have the opportunity to go to their polling station and cast their vote as to who becomes the next president of the United States. They also have the opportunity to vote on one of their congressmen and one of their senators. Now, as a newly minted American citizen, as you can imagine, I am taking this privilege very seriously. But before I go out and do my own civic duty, I wanted to reach out to my European friends and give them a very important message. Now, I know a lot of you have been following the election very closely on Facebook and Twitter, and I applaud you for taking an interest in what is undoubtedly the most significant democratic election in the entire world. A lot of you have also been casting opinions, having criticisms, even complaining about America and the American political system. I wanted to look you in the eye and ask you this very important question. Are you kidding me? Because I don't want to offend any of you, but really? You live under the European political system and you're complaining about the American political system. Really? I mean, what's so wrong with that, right? Well, let me start at the top and I'll work my way down. Right now, we are voting to see who becomes the next president of the United States of America. Who did you vote for president of Europe? Oh, that's right, nobody. That's because the President of the European Council doesn't get elected. The European Council is made up of all the heads of all the governments who make up the European Union, and they decide between themselves who gets to play mother. In fact, while we're at it, do you even know who the President of the European Council is? Yeah, it's that Belgian guy. No, not Tintin, the other one, Herman Van Rompuy. So let's move on. Also in this election, we get to vote for one of our senators and one of our congressmen, because we have a two-tiered legislative system, kind of like you have the House of Commons in England and then the House of Lords. So what do you have in Europe? Well, the bottom one is called the European Parliament, and that's actually the second biggest electoral parliament in the entire world. And who did you decide to send there? That's right, Nick Griffin, head of the British Nationalist Party. The guy who wants to kick everybody who's not white or Christian out of the United Kingdom. So, great job there. Next time you try and tell us about not voting for a guy like Mitt Romney, just remember who's batting for you in the European Parliament. Anyway, there's one important thing to remember about the European Parliament. It's not actually like any other parliament in the world because it's missing one important thing: the ability to create laws. The European Parliament can't actually propose any laws, so really, while you can vote for the people who make up the European Parliament, they can't actually do anything. Because laws can only be proposed by the second legislative house in Europe, the European Commission. Now, the last time you had a European election, who did you vote for the European Commission? Oh, that's right, you didn't. Because that's right, the second legislative house in the European Union, the one with all the power, isn't actually elected. The heads of all the governments of all the countries decide who they want to send there, and they send them. So let's recap, shall we? In America, we get to elect who our president is. We get to elect who's going to be in our Congress, and we get to elect who's going to be in our Senate. In Europe, you don't get to elect your president, you don't get to elect anyone to the European Commission, and the one body you can elect people to, like Nick Griffin, great job there, doesn't actually have any power. So the American political system isn't looking so bad all of a sudden, is it? But wait, it gets worse. Because in America, when we have an important piece of law that the people need to vote on, we can stick it on the voting slip as something called a proposition. You probably remember Proposition 8 in California, the one that banned gay marriage. In Europe, when you have an important piece of law to pass, like, oh, I don't know, the ratification of the European Constitution, most voters don't even get a look at it. In almost all the countries in Europe, when an important bill like that comes to pass, the European Commission just sends it to the local government to rubber stamp. The voters don't even get the chance to have their say on it. And on the very rare occasions that they do, like in Ireland, which still has some vestiges of democracy left, the European Commission makes sure that if the voters make the wrong choice, like saying no to the European Constitution, they'll just resend that bill time and time and time again until the voters finally make the right decision and do what they wanted. Just some stuff to think about. And next time you want to criticize the American system of democracy, just remember one thing. At least we have one.